Welcome to the Empowered Wife podcast, where it's all about fixing your relationship without your man's conscious effort so that you feel desired, taken care of, and special, even if your relationship feels completely hopeless right now. I'm Laura Doyle, and today's show is about becoming an irresistible magnet. First, we're going to talk about the 11 habits that make men go gaga with passion and desire. And my guest, Marissa, was convinced there was something wrong with her husband because he didn't lift a finger to help with their new baby. So she was stuck doing everything 24 hours a day. But instead of getting divorced, she started doing something that inspired her husband to help out with the baby and the housework and also shower her with presents and special treatment. So she's here to tell us how she fixed her marriage and why she's wearing a tiara in the picture in the show notes. Then I'll be giving out the award for the worst relationship advice of the week for some advice that you hear absolutely everywhere and that so many women are falling for. And it makes things so much worse than they were. So it's very deserving of this award. All of that's coming up. But first, I want to talk about what men find irresistible. And if you've ever spent an evening with your man or a date and ended up being his life coach or his therapist, you already know that does not make you irresistible. Quite the opposite, actually. All that good advice you gave him did not lead to more dates or make him pull you in with both arms and shower you with kisses or look deep in your eyes and say that he loved you more than anyone has ever loved anyone. But there are 11 simple behaviors that men find irresistible in women, and not one of them has to do with hair or makeup or how you dress. And none of them are manipulation. They won't make you seem desperate. You won't have to dumb down. In fact, they'll help you be your best self, your real self. Here's how you can become supermodel style irresistible to a man, whether he's your longtime husband or you've just met. Number one, be vulnerable. There was a study at the University of Toronto where they found, and I hope you're sitting down for this, they found that women are more emotional than men. So there's research money well spent, right? But it's true that we women have emotional brilliance that men find wondrous and alluring. In particular, our vulnerability draws them in like lions to gazelles. Being vulnerable means revealing the less than perfect parts of you, the shy part, the tender part, the part that's afraid of spiders. Trying to impress him with how independent you are will never attract him in the way that admitting you're feeling over your head in your new job or that you felt embarrassed at the parent-teacher conference would, for example. You don't have to have it all together to be irresistible. He's looking to be able to make a contribution to your life. And seeing your vulnerability, that inspires him to believe that he can make a contribution. Number two, listen. The best conversationalists are good listeners. Letting a man talk without interrupting, correcting him, or trying to teach him something, that will make you a tall, cool glass of water in the desert. He'll tell you everything on his mind if you create the emotional safety of leaving lots of space for him to talk and say only, uh-huh, or I hear you, or mm-hmm. You don't have to agree. You don't have to disagree. Just listen. You try it for an hour tonight with your guy. Or next, if you're single, next time you go on a date, try that. Or if you're married, next time you go on a date, try that. He won't be able to get enough of you. Number three, be receptive. Receptivity is the essence of femininity. I'm going to say it again. Receptivity is the essence of femininity. I don't want you to miss that. It's really important because that's what men are fundamentally attracted to. And being open and receptive to his compliments, his help, his gifts, his apologies, to special treatment, that is being feminine. So therefore, to be incredibly attractive, be receptive. Instead of giving to him or doing things for him, let him give and do for you, even if it makes you feel uncomfortable and squishy inside. He'll be 10 times more in love with you on the day he's knocked himself out to build you a deck or set up your new computer or helped you move than he would if you didn't trouble him at all. If you let him admire you, praise you, lift heavy things for you, solve some of your problems, he'll say, I don't know what it is, but I just want to make you happy. Number 4, be pleasable. If you are unhappy, no matter what he does, you are going to be resistible, really resistible, like avoidable. If you are happy and you know it, then your face will surely show it. And he'll see an opportunity to pile on by bringing you your favorite ice cream or a bracelet or a designer sweater. Why? Because making you happy makes him feel good. And you are irresistible when you make him feel that way. Number 5, expect the best. One woman was walking with a date when he announced that he was taking her to this particular restaurant, and she knew that it was on the next block over and they were going away from it. But she decided to trust him to find his way there, which they eventually did, but not before they'd run into some street entertainers who made the night magical, which she would have missed if she'd said, "You're going the wrong way." Expecting the best from her date let her be open to unexpected fun. It had him inexplicably fascinated with the woman who trusted him and expected the best from him. Number 6, be the goddess of fun and light. The more you focus on having fun, the hotter you become. You'll never be more magnetizing than when you're doing your happy dance and you're laughing and you're smiling. Look for ways to delight yourself no matter where you are, what the circumstances are. Commit time and energy to having fun every single day. And you know what? Your man will seek you out to spend even more time with you. If you haven't made yourself happy, you're not going to be irresistible. But the more you're filled up with joy, the more you'll notice him finding reasons to be where you are. Number 7, be a seductress. As a wife or a girlfriend, you might be tempted to be the aggressor when it comes to physical intimacy, but consider how much more attractive you'll be to him if instead you seduce him with your body, with your scent, with your voice. I'm not saying don't initiate. I'm just saying when you do, take the irresistible approach of inviting him to make the first move by letting him know you are willing. That way you get to feel the thrill of knowing he can't keep his hands off of you. And nothing is sexier to him or more gratifying for you. Number 8, focus on his strength. If your man is ailing or needs a new resume or his laundry done, you might be tempted to take care of him, kind of like his mom would. But men don't find their moms irresistible. Consider instead mirroring the strength you see in him. Mirror the strength instead of the weakness. Yeah, of course you empathize that he's sick, but rather than babying him, you could affirm him for being such a strong man. Show that you trust he'll do a good job on his resume or the laundry. There's nothing more appealing than a woman who reflects the strength and capability she sees in her man. Number 9, express gratitude. So the more you appreciate what your man does for you, the more he will knock himself out looking for more ways to gain your appreciation. He'll love knowing that he pleased you in small ways so much, he'll look for more and bigger ways to please you again. One man actually was so excited that his wife was so happy when he fixed a broken cabinet. He said to himself, "What should I break around here so that I can fix that too?" Hearing your thanks and delight is music to his ears, and it's going to make you seem like the most beautiful woman who ever lived. Number 10, sometimes say nothing. Now, I don't recommend dumbing down. You know what you know, and you can use that to your advantage at any time. But sometimes it is advantageous to say nothing, even if you think you know the answer to all his problems. The goddess of Wikipedia who knows everything? She's resistible. The more you focus on being the expert on your own life and trust that he's the expert on his life, the more he'll go to any length to get next to you. And there's an expression that it's better to have some of the questions than all of the answers. And that is certainly true when it comes to being an irresistible magnet to a man. Number 11, remember who you are. Now, I promised that none of what makes you irresistible is hair or makeup or what you wear. And that's true. Irresistibility comes from inside. But what makes you attractive to him is that you have the mind, spirit, and body of a woman. And the more you dial that up, the more attractive you'll be. So one way to be physically irresistible is to celebrate that female form, whether it's by noticing the swing of your hips when you walk, or the feel of his skirt around your legs, or even his hand on the small of your back. Whatever your shape or size, you were born with the goods that make you a magnet to your man. There's every reason to rejoice about your feminine form, since it's part of what makes him rejoice about you. Which one or two habits will you focus on and apply this week? My guest today decided to apply some of these, especially number 3 and number 6, and I'll let her tell you about it herself. If you're wondering how to get started with fixing your relationship and making it shiny again, then you need a roadmap. Get 6 simple steps to follow that will set your relationship up for success. Discover 3 common mistakes that wives make trying to fix their relationship that just make things worse when you download my free Adored Wife Roadmap. You can do that at getcherished.com. Go to getcherished.com now to get your roadmap in minutes. My guest today, Marissa, was doing it all with no help. She had a baby and she was on duty 24/7 with that newborn baby while her husband slept in. She did the cleaning and the laundry with zero appreciation, leaving Marissa convinced that she had married the wrong man. But instead of getting divorced, now she's got a great relationship, the kind that we all dream of, and also a powerful relationship coach who helps other women with what seems like impossible challenges in their relationships. And she's here to tell us how she fixed her marriage and how she now gets plenty of help as a mom. So Marissa, welcome to the Empowered Wife podcast. Thanks for coming on to tell your story about how you created this transformation in your family where you're feeling like more of a team in your relationship. So let's start at the beginning. Tell us a little bit about what was going on in your relationship in the bad old days.
Yeah, so thanks for having me. And like you said, I mean, I just was doing it all, drowning, really, feeling like I'm drowning and my husband's sipping a margarita on a float next to me while I'm drowning, sleeping in while I had been up since 6 a.m., feeling like I had conquered half the day with a newborn, already changed several diapers, doing the feedings, managing the house, cleaning, laundry, everything, and really receiving no appreciation, as if it was just my job, perhaps, as the woman, or I don't know, that I was depressed, I was lonely, resentful, not good at all. There just wasn't the love or the connection that we once had. And I remember thinking, how did I get here? How did I get here that I'm, now a mother and and a wife, but so unhappy?
Yeah, and you're a very well-educated mother and wife. Actually, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my background actually is that I'm a licensed mental health therapist and love personal growth work, and have extensive personal growth work, but somehow I couldn't find my way through this, in a way that really resonated or made sense, or I just didn't know how to apply it to my marriage. Like I could put together a lovely vision board, maybe, of other things, but not so much my marriage.
Right. And so was there a moment where you said to yourself, okay, I can't keep going on like this?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just depressed and depleted, beyond measure. And I remember we were at a restaurant and my daughter needed her diaper change. And of course, it's going to be me that's going to do it. He's not offering or suggesting anything. And when it comes to diaper changing in restaurants, it can kind of go one of two ways. It can be pretty easy because it's family friendly, or it can be challenging. And in this particular situation, it was pretty challenging. And it felt like I had been in the bathroom for, 10, 15 minutes. I was waiting for these young girls to kind of get out of the handicap stall, and there's no changing table. And I come back to the restaurant table when I'm done, and I kind of sharing with my husband, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe how challenging this was, kind of going through how it was. And I don't remember, but I think it was something like I had to change her on the floor. And instead of getting, validation or gratitude or appreciation, I got criticized for how I handled it. And I was just
What did he say? Do you remember what he said? Like
something like, I can't believe you did that, or you made that choice, or that was so unsanitary, or something like that. And I say I'm heartbroken, and I was, but really it was like, oh, how could you criticize me? Like, if you had any idea all that I had done. It was kind of like the explosion was going to go off at this point. Right. And it did. And so words were exchanged, probably at the table, in the car, driving home, continuing into the house. I don't quite, how one of those arguments where you can't quite remember who said what, but it was like, I think I was just desperate for him to understand what I was going through. Like, how could he criticize me? And it ended with me yelling curse words, which was completely out of character for me. And it actually alarmed me. It kind of jolted me. And so my answer was, we need to go to counseling for our bad behavior, clearly. So I just remember that kind of being a moment of like, yeah, this is not working. And we need to go to counseling because he was responsible for my, for me cursing. It's like I was kind of mortified, but he needed to come with me. He needed to know he was wrong.
That's right.
For insulting me that way.
How did it go at counseling?
So not good.
No.
I remember the counselor kind of sharing a story about how there was a couple that ran a coffee shop, and the kind of their way of running the coffee shop is, we both do 100%. I'm like, oh, this sounds great. They're both doing 100% to run this coffee shop. And then we get home and I'm like, what does that mean? Like, it sounded so great, but then you get down to reality and it's like, well, honey, I'm doing my 100%, it's like, it wasn't tangible. It wasn't like the intimacy skills. It sounded lovely, but it really made no sense once we got home.
Yeah. So you'd be inspired in that moment, but not really well equipped, it sounds like. So when you got back from marriage counseling, I mean, did anything change? Was anything better?
No, not from the counseling. I mean, I think in my attempts to have talks with my husband, I think like he would step up for a day or two, and then it would just fall back to the way it used to. And that would really become a routine.
What would you say to him in these talks?
I was probably very critical of him, letting him know how much I'm doing, letting him know how short he is falling in the role of husband and father, basically.
Yeah. So, and you saw kind of an uptick of his contribution, it sounds like, from those talks for a little while.
Very short term. Yeah, very short term.
And then after that, what would happen?
So it continued for a while, having these talks that really just kind of left me devastated. It's, it's like we're speaking two different languages and I'm trying to be understood. And and again, it's all kind of a blur of what I said, but I remember the feeling. The feeling was loneliness, and kind of always going back to that feeling of, I think I married the wrong man. Yeah, because we can't communicate. He doesn't understand. And I think I was probably on my high horse of, I have all this personal growth background.
Yeah, you're a marriage family therapist.
Right.
So, so it must be him. It's got to be him. So what happened?
So I discovered the book and listened to the audio and got through it like over a weekend. And it was incredibly eye-opening, incredibly eye-opening.
Okay. So for our listeners, they don't know what book you're talking about. Maybe not all of them.
Okay. So the book Empowered Wife, and then for me it was the audio, first Kill All the Marriage Counselors, which I think it's a good title. So that was the book and audio, and I remember feeling like I had a glimpse of what he must be experiencing or what he might be experiencing. And I had a glimpse into how, wow, I was going about this all wrong, like very eye-opening. But it was kind of nice that I could just listen to the book in my own space, the privacy of my own car, right? Which is where I was listening to it. And so it's like I didn't feel mortified per se. It was like a safe place to kind of take in all this information and go, oh, wow. And as resentful as I was, I remember that night that I had finished the book, like hugging him and actually giving him a back rub. And it was like if you were a bug, flying in and looking, you go, whoa, what just happened? But it was a moment of like, I didn't have the words for it because I wasn't even close to having like an apology or words. But if I had words, it was almost like, oh, honey, my eyes have been opened. I've learned a lot, and you're not all bad. You're not all wrong. And it makes me sad just remembering the eye opening of like, wow, I have a part in this. And I need to find out more. And so I ended up doing the coach training to become a coach myself. And that really began my journey of continuing to learn and make mistakes, which I was going to do, but also have success and beautiful stories.
So it was a bittersweet moment, it sounds like, to realize that you'd maybe been doing some damage in your relationship while you were just trying to get your needs met, right? You're just trying to get some help with that baby and some appreciation and wanting to be seen and known.
Yeah.
But it's still hard, it sounds like, to kind of look back. And yet I also think I hear some excitement in your voice about that moment. And then, of course, you trained to become a coach, and now you are a powerful coach. But take us back for a second. What did you start doing differently than what you had been doing?
Yeah. So I think the biggest piece for me is because I was drowning in caring for my baby, as I started taking responsibility for my happiness. And that was huge. And logically, I think with all my personal growth background, like I kind of knew that, but just something sunk when I had learned about it, that I'm responsible for my happiness. He is not. And so that began the biggest journey of really experimenting with doing less jumping up the second my baby needed something, less cleaning, less laundry, less everything. And what was beautiful is I didn't tell him what to do. I didn't nag him. I simply honored myself, and he stepped up. He started doing more. And then also what I learned is appreciation, and kind of dispelled some myths maybe about appreciation, because I think I would have thought, finally, he's just doing what he should have been doing this whole time. But I thought, well, let's experiment with this. Let's show some appreciation. And the more I appreciated him, and the more I honored me by doing less, just the more he continued to step up and step up and step up. And I think, too, the appreciation countered maybe some of that guilt, because this was new. It's interesting, as change happens, it's like these new feelings arise. I went from hating him to then feeling guilty, which is like, well, that doesn't make sense, but it would show up. And once I started appreciating him, the guilt really diminished. It was because he beamed, like he wanted to be appreciated. I wanted to be taken care of. So it was like magic. It was like, I have the key.
Oh my gosh. So you did struggle with feeling guilty. So you're letting laundry pile up, you're letting dishes pile up, maybe you're letting your daughter cry, these are challenging things for a mom.
Well, I don't even think it was that. I think it was that I'm on the couch And he's in the kitchen doing dishes. It was like, whoa, can I really do this? That was kind of the guilt of the not doing the laundry. Like, I don't care. It really was like, wow, can I do this? And then once I appreciated him, somehow it shifted. It shifted me and it shifted him.
Wow.
Almost as if that guilt never was there. Like he wasn't feeling, he wasn't keeping score the way I was.
Right.
Honest, right. So
he
he wasn't resentful towards me.
Like he didn't even know what the score was.
No,
Even though you kept telling him. So was there a moment when you said, wow, this is really working? I mean, you're laying on the couch. That's a pretty good moment. But were there things that happened along the way on your journey that made you think?
Yeah. So I do have I remember, besides now that I'm relaxed and I just feel more balanced. I feel more free. I'm lighter. I'm happier. So then I could kind of take it to some new levels of intimacy, if you will. And I also remember learning about that he wants to make me happy, right? He really wants to make me happy. To be honest, this was kind of news to me. I really didn't that didn't sink in. Like, okay, let's test this out. So we are at the mall and it's the week before Mother's Day, and I'm just having fun with this. And we go by a jewelry store that I'm pretty fond of, and we keep going because we're going to go to this little indoor playground for my daughter. But I just get on my phone. I'm like, well, let's take a look at some of the jewelry that might be at this jewelry store. And again, I'm just light and free, and the spirit of let's just experiment with it. And I found these earrings that I thought were pretty, and they were. I was stretching myself because I think for Mother's Day, I would have just settled for maybe he'll get me a card, maybe he'll get me flowers. So I really stretched myself to share with him. So all I did is I showed him my phone and I just said, I really want these. It was all that I said. And he's behind me because it's like a circle and I'm watching my daughter and he's behind me. Well, unbeknownst to me, he's on his phone and he is looking for these earrings. And what I love is that not only did he have to go to two different stores, like two different locations to find these earrings, which I was just kind of like experimenting with, but he could not wait until Mother's Day. It was Wednesday night. He comes in and says, can I give you your Mother's Day gift? He was beaming and I open it up and it's these earrings that, again, to me were a bit extravagant for Mother's Day, but oh my gosh, it was just like, wow. This is working, and he just wants to make me happy. He's beaming, and I'm beaming, and like, how good can you stand it, right?
How good can you stand it? So this was an exercise for you saying that you wanted to have them. And then it's almost like, well, what was standing in the way before?
Yeah.
You had an insight about that, it sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah, that I got in my own way, basically. That's all he wanted. In fact, so I'll share another little story because this is all he ever wanted, and I have it in a text. Like Anyways, so my birthday was recently, and he surprised me the night before with Disneyland annual passes. I'm here in California, we're local, and it was for me, for him, and my daughter, and they come with a pretty hefty price tag, and I just, now I know, like, he just wants to make me happy. And this is definitely something I wanted. And it definitely surprised me. And he did this so we could go on my birthday. Well, the morning of my birthday, I mean, I'm already like, this is fantastic. And we're going to go. But he goes to run an errand, comes home. He has flowers in his hand, a balloon, a latte, a card, a cake pop for me and my daughter. And I'm just blown away. And again, he's beaming and he's happy and I'm happy and feeling cherished. And so fast forward to like the Monday after all the events are happening and Thanksgiving was in there. And I thanked him. So I kind of wrote this down that I shared with him how loved I felt after all the things he did for my birthday. And this is what he wrote. Gosh, it just touches me. He said, I'm glad you can see how much I love you. And the light bulb was like, this is all he ever wanted. it was just, I love that text that he sent because that's all he ever wanted. And now it's like we have these exchanges all the time. Like, well, this will make me happy. He's like, okay, here it is.
Wow. I love it. I think that's what every woman dreams of. And I remember I got to see a picture of you on your birthday at Disneyland, and you were beaming and you were wearing a tiara. And I'd actually love to show that picture. I share it in the show notes if that's okay with you, so people can see what your life looks like post intimacy skills. But I think one thing everybody's probably still interested to know is, what about the help with your daughter?
Oh gosh, yeah. So I sleep in. There's so many things I could say about it that I'm even like shocked at some of the things he does. You know, he does the homework with our daughter. It's just endless. And you know, and it's funny because you ask me, and it's kind of like I can't quite pinpoint, but you know why it is? Because I don't keep score. That's the bottom line. It's like, yes, he does so much. And I don't even if you ask me, like, how much do I do? Like, well, you know, it's like, I just don't keep score, you know, things get done. And I'm sure we both do a lot, you know, being parents and maintaining a house and everything that needs to get done, but I just don't keep score. And that's the beauty of it.
And it sounds like you don't need to keep score because it no longer feels like it's totally unfair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it feels fair, and it feels like you've created this incredible intimacy in your relationship. What's your tip for a woman who's feeling like you did, where she's just drowning, she's feeling alone in her relationship, and it's causing all this conflict and strife, and she's now wanting to feel like the princess in the tiara on her birthday who gets the latte and the card and the balloon and the Disney tickets, and her husband just wants her to feel loved. What's your tip for her?
Let's see. Just one tip, huh? I guess, I mean, it's going to be like, you know, picking up the book and joining this community. But if I had to narrow it to a tip, you know, taking responsibility for her happiness, and just kind of letting go of maybe all the things that she's buried with and doing. I make it sound so simple. And so, I mean, it really is more, I mean, it is simple. But for me, I really needed the support of this community. And it really, to me, is almost like a language that I needed to learn. Yeah.
You know, I'm so grateful for you sharing about these struggles. These aren't easy things to talk about. They're not, it's hard to go back to the old days, especially when you've come all the way through and you're now living with a different reality. But I just so appreciate you being so authentic about this pain that you're having in your family. What makes you willing to share that?
Gosh, I know I'm not alone. You know, I'm aware of the divorce rates, and even those that are still married. How many are unhappy? How many are in secret about it? Yeah, I want to reach a woman who feels similar. And you know, and my heart goes out to moms in particular that are drowning in what it is to be a mom. And I can't believe this is our marriage that's so great, and that he's stepping up as a father in ways I just couldn't have imagined. Yeah, so I know I'm not alone, and I want to reach as many women as I can to have what I have, and to know it's possible, and that there is a way, there is a key that just ignites him and will ignite you.
And even with all the self-development that you did in the marriage, you know, training to be an MFT, that it wasn't available to you, it sounds like, until
it was eye-opening. It's crazy. Just all the myths that are out there about how, you know, communication is needed. You know, that the couples need to get together and talk about their problems versus personal responsibility and personal growth. And I didn't realize the error in my ways, like you said, even as a therapist, even somebody who's had a ton of personal growth.
Well, I just want to thank you for coming on and sharing your courageous story so authentically, so honestly. It's very relatable. I'm sure you inspired a lot of people today. So thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
If you're wondering how to get started with fixing your relationship and making it shiny again, then you need a roadmap. Get 6 simple steps to follow that will set your relationship up for success. Discover 3 common mistakes that wives make trying to fix their relationship that just make things worse when you download my free Adored Wife Roadmap. You can do that at getcherished.com. Go to getcherished.com now to get your roadmap in minutes. And now it's time to give out the award for the worst relationship advice of the week.
It's the worst relationship advice of the worst relationship advice. Yeah, it's the worst relationship advice of the worst relationship advice of the week.
When I was at the lowest point in my marriage, feeling completely dejected and lonely because my husband was not affectionate, I kept reading advice from experts who insisted that the solution was to say, I have a serious concern about your lack of affection. And the underlying premise of this advice is that my husband just didn't know that I liked affection, or maybe he didn't realize that he didn't show affection. He somehow forgot. But telling him to be more affectionate never worked, as I'm sure you already know from trying it yourself. If anything, that drove my husband further away. Sometimes he'd leave tire marks in the driveway, trying to get away fast. And periodically reminding my husband that he was not affectionate was the surefire way to make him show affection. Everybody said so. So I did that repeatedly. But whether I begged, cajoled, or demanded, or made friendly suggestions, it never worked. Not once. I mean, sure, there was that time when he obediently hugged me and kissed me, but that did not scratch my itch, my friends. If anything, it made my pain and my dejection more acute. Because the truth is, getting him to hug and kiss me wasn't what I wanted. I wanted him to want to hug and kiss me. I wanted to feel desired. Just like the old days when he was always smooching me or patting my butt. And since I had to order him to be affectionate, it was pretty evident that he did not want to. And that hurt a lot. Begging for kisses and hugs feels lousy, even if he complies. Not only did I feel needy and undignified doing it, it only pushed him further away. So step 1 for me was to stop listening to that terrible advice, which to this day makes me want to punch someone in the news. Instead, consider that he may not be feeling loved either, even if you're being affectionate with him. I'm happy to report that I no longer have the urge to ask my husband why he doesn't show affection. And that's because the smooching and the pats on the butt and the fireworks in the bedroom are back. And the same can happen for you, but not because you talked it out. That's not my experience, at least. Fortunately, rather than telling him what he should do, you can naturally restore the petting and the flirting by being your best self again. Be sure to subscribe to the Empowered Wife podcast. Next week is going to be the top 10 ways to control your husband. Today's fun fact is that I took 4 years of high school Spanish, and the only thing I retained is ¿Dónde está el baño? Until we talk again, take good care of you.